So, good afternoon, Accelerator Frankfurt community. It's great to be back Wednesday, 1 p.m. Frankfurt time. As usual, we're with Wave8 Female Founders Program. We're now in the last stretch, 4 weeks until demo day. And these four amazing ladies have been working together, helping each other throughout the past weeks. I'm so pleased to see the engagement and involvement between the teams on our Slack channel. So that was really good. How are you ladies feeling? Karla, you're in Berlin at the moment, right?
Yes, I'm in Berlin.
All good.
Yeah, it's getting also darker here, but still okay.
Very good. I see you have a nice chair, comfortable chair now. Congrats. And Hanna, you're in your sauna somewhere in Germany as well, right?
Yes. Here is much more light than in Finland, so we have really lot of sunshine here in Rhineland-Pfalz, close to Ludwigshafen.
Okay, really good. And then we have Miia. She's in Helsinki.
Yeah,
right?
so you can see the rays of sun behind me, and it's the real sun here. So really sunny and feeling sunny because we're doing a lot of progress here with the brand. So feeling excited and happy.
Excellent. Yeah, we had some chats in the past week, and amazing progress that you're getting now. And last but not least, Anu. Anu, where are you? This is a new background I see.
I'm actually working remotely from Lapland. So I decided to kind of escape where I can from Helsinki for a while, and Lapland seemed like a good option. So I'm here a couple of weeks now.
Wow, that's in the Arctic Circle, right?
Unfortunately, it seems that on Friday there might be more snow in Helsinki than here. But let's see. I hope that this turns around soon as well here. But the timing wasn't maybe optimal. But the scenery and everything is always worthwhile.
Very nice. Before I introduce our two mentors today, I just want to do a little bit of publicity to my co-founder and partner's new book. It's available for pre-order. It's coming out next month. As you can see, the title, How to F Up Your Startup. Maria, she's been a business angel for the past 10 years, investing mostly in SaaS-related businesses in Scandinavia as well as Germany. And she tells her story and learnings through the crazy ICO times that we had back in 2017, 2018. I will put a link for this pre-order. Get your book. Maria is also now building a startup dealing with, it's a team development tool in organizational psychology. And her startup is Mindful Behavior, which is also sponsoring this program at the moment. So that is the disclaimer, basically. We're going back now to our lovely mentors. It just so happened to be that they're also female. But we promote diversity, not only female. Next week we'll have some male. And I will start with Nina from EarlyBird VC in Berlin. Nina, you're on mute. Please give us a short intro, a background about your VC time. And yeah.
Sure, happy to do so. Great to meet you all. Yes, so we are a VC fund out of Berlin, Munich, and Istanbul. We invest in early stage, so seed Series A stage mostly. We have a lot of track record in fintech. We exist for 23 years now, and most of the success cases in our portfolio were fintech. So we had N26 as most recent example, Smava, Interhyp back in the days, and a few other younger fintechs in our portfolio. So we love the space, and we invest tickets ranging from 1 to 10 million as initial ticket size, and then can go up to 25 million per portfolio company. We have a team of 30 investment professionals, overall 50 people. And yeah, so that's kind of our main work. And I joined the team 2 years ago. I have a legal background, so I'm a lawyer by training, specialized on privacy tech and data protection, and I have gained some experience in startups, was one of the first employees at Celonis in Munich, and some other startups here and there, and then decided to leave the legal side and fully focus on tech because it was just much more exciting, and joined the team here to focus mostly on consumer tech and fintech. Doing my third investment right now. I've done one in the fintech infrastructure space that we haven't announced yet, and one in the consumer audio space, a bit outside of fintech, called Curio. Yeah, so that's a bit about myself, and we love to get in touch with founders at very early stage, so even before we invest, so that we can also get to know you along the way and support you wherever we can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nina. And I do have to say, you've been a great partner for us. Every time we introduce startups to EarlyBird, you give them excellent feedback, and it's really great that you follow them along the way, and when they're ready for the investment, hopefully it comes in. By the way, this Female Founders program is not only fintech. We're quite open, as you will hear, to other areas. So it's awesome, and we'd love to hear your perspective from the VC side and what they should look for and so forth. Great.
Very excited. Yeah, great.
And our second mentor today is Riitta Munttunen. We know Riitta for many years. She's been a mentor at Accelerator Frankfurt from day one. Riitta is a business angel. So not the VC side, but the business angel side, very hands-on, and she sits as a board member in some stock-listed companies. Riitta, please, I think you can give a better background about yourself than I can.
Okay, Ram, thank you very much. That was a pretty good already. That's true that I have been, I have followed Accelerator Frankfurt from the very beginning with some interest, and I've invested also in some companies that have come out of Accelerator Frankfurt portfolio.
Are you happy with the investments?
Some yes, and some question marks, but let's not get into it. It's always a personal decision. Yeah. But what's interesting about Accelerator Frankfurt is that their portfolio has changed a little bit from the beginning, I would say, but what is common among all those waves, as they call them, is the persistence in pursuing technology and pursuing something that can differentiate what's kind of normal in life and with new technology, and that's what I find very, very intriguing and interesting. Plus, you get to meet very, very bright and motivated people, motivated by themselves, by the ideas. So my name is Riitta Munttunen, and my background is in a chemicals business. So it has nothing to do with today's AIs or blockchains or so. But in those days, chemicals was a good business to be in, and it's still actually with the circular economy, it's still an interesting business to be in, as it's also changing away from the fossil fuels and so on. But during my let's say 35 years, I've seen the world first to become global. When I joined the chemical industry, businesses were very much like country-based, and then they became global, first European, then global. But I've also seen the businesses and the opportunities to move even in high asset-based businesses like say paper industry or chemicals industry, or Nokia is a typical example where opportunities have just moved from one region to another very, very fast. And technology today plays an enabler role actually to make opportunities global. In those days when I was in business, you had to put a lot of capital into to build a business in a different region. So I come from the life where 35 years ago I joined a company where there was one computer and there was one person who was working on that computer, nobody else. And if you imagine 27 years ago, I got my first own mobile phone. Or if you think of iPhones,
probably a Nokia.
And it was a Nokia, yes, absolutely. But still, the speed of bringing in new features and new technologies, especially now, because there is a platform already available, so it's so much faster to actually utilize what's available and to build on it, and try to look, especially as a startup, try to look for ways how you can be faster and how you can be more different. And that's what I find very interesting with the startup scene overall, is that there are so many ideas how you can solve a problem. There could be different routes to solve that problem, but there are also enablers, and also startups collaborate a lot more today than what it used to be. And yes, Sarah mentioned that I'm also in some supervisory boards. And what's interesting about the startups with the supervisory boards is that sometimes you look at the larger companies and they don't necessarily have the resources to do everything. So startups actually open up or offer an avenue for larger companies to be part of their innovation hub, if we say so. And as an investor, I'm not a big investor, but I do some investments. So what am I looking for from the targets are, especially when it's a sort of early stage, is team dynamics. Very important that everybody has one goal, even that you need to capture the ideas of the others, but that everybody in that team pursue that one goal. The fewer, the better. One is a good target to have. And second is the scalability of the idea. So today's world is global, and it just makes sense to look at it with the global eyes from the very beginning. And then there has to be something that brings a competitive advantage that others don't have or are not aware of, for something to succeed. So at least those three things, and maybe you have some others to add to that. So that's a small introduction, Bram.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rita, for that. And Nina and Rita, basically, I remind you, and I already told you over the email, the ladies are very early stage. They need as much feedback and help as they can have, but you will see very quickly they're super motivated, they're very active and very driven. So we will do about 20-25 minutes if needed per company, and feel free to make it a dialogue. This is not a pitch, this is not a demo day. Just cut them off, clarify things, and so forth. We'll start with, from my screen, I see Hanna on the top left. Hanna, are you able to share your screen? I made you a co-host, so.
Great, I will share my screen.
And of course, the other ladies also jump in and criticize, help, as usual. Is it sharing?
Oops. Yes, now I found it. So you see my presentation well?
Yep.
It's the first time I see the slides, by the way. First time I see any presentation from you, because we started, by the way, Nina and Rita, we started with a lean canvas, basically, and they filled in the problem, the solution, early adopters, and so forth, in order to get a bit the focus and the story. So now they're starting to head towards pitch decks and hopefully a final pitch presentation for the demo day.
Great.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Hanna Kekkonen. I come also from the chemical industry, so I work for a big global chemical corporate, and I think this must be my lucky day, because Rita told me in the introduction that she sees the business opportunities within chemistry and circular economy.
Okay.
And this is actually
Good.
my idea. So I'm very happy, Rita, here to get your feedback on this idea. And as Ram says, this idea is on early stage, but I think it is a great opportunity also in regards to the EU Green Deal and the action areas for circular economy and the increasing regulations. What is important to understand from my motivation, I write it here as well. So I'm a mother, I have 3 kids. My kids are going to the Fridays for Future demos, and I'm worried that the way we go on here is not giving them a future. And I love the circular economy concept, because this goes away from this buy, throw out culture and add some new values. And I'm involved often in change management projects in the corporate, so I think this is a very nice opportunity here. Yes, so what is it about? So we talk here about discovering waste. So discover waste, because probably many companies does not realize that there is value in the waste that they are producing, and this could actually be a new revenue stream. So we have, let's say, foreseen in the first release for the platform these 4 groups as the first, let's say, players that would benefit from the platform. So we have companies that want to get rid of their waste. We have the waste collectors that collects it and sells part of it. Then we have the recyclers that process the waste, and then we have producers that create new products out of the recycled new material then. So we believe that making the digital experience, this is where the technology comes into the picture. So making this process of getting rid of waste, buying waste, processing waste as effortless as possible, this will, let's say, increase the demand of recycling. As you see, looking at the picture here, it tells you that we are indeed in an early phase of the ideation, but we are, even though looking into some, let's say, benefits and personas, how do you get added value by using this platform compared to, let's say, doing a manual transactional relationship business to business. So what is typical for the circular economy is that you move into a partnership and collaboration kind of relationship. So Neste in Finland, for example, is a great example of a company who really consequently looks into partnership. So here we see a lot of different kind of benefits in terms of logistics, waste trading, demand planning, and waste management for the stakeholders that comes in and uses our platform. So if I simplify it a little bit, so the last slide was very full, but let's say we have a company that wants to get rid of their waste. They log into the platform and checks, okay, where is the collector nearby, or who is the collectors, and then they can get a quote and they can book a pickup so that somebody comes and picks up the waste. And the collectors, again, they check then, okay, where is the recyclers? And the recyclers looks for materials to buy. And you can compare this little bit with eBay, where these different buyers and sellers are matched. So this is the basic idea of it. If we go now to the, let's say, main, I call it the wave, because Ram speaks a lot about surfing, but this is our big wave, so the EU Circular Economy Action Plan. So we are basically looking and going hand in hand with this action plan and fit this into a business model as well, because the demand will be increasing. And today only 8.3% of the global economy is circular. So there is a big, let's say, opportunity. But as you see, we have not yet really, we are not really specific with which industry we will start, who will be the companies we will start with, and it's quite complex. So this is why we thought, hey, why not look into the Nordic countries, because our team is also diverse. So we have some people from the Nordic countries and some German colleagues, and often in the Nordic countries you are faster to try new things. In Germany the mindset is rather, okay, risk avoiding, I would say. There is you have to think throughout before you do anything, and here you have many examples in Finland where you have a small city which has become self-sufficient, so they don't actually produce any waste. This is the small city in Lapland, E. There is also in Helsinki an area which is quite far. So just to answer this problem where to start, we think, okay, let's make a geographic area radius of 100 kilometers between the Ruhr area, so the industrial area, and Antwerp in Belgium, because here is where you have really a lot of industrial businesses. And then within this area of 100 kilometers, find out, okay, who is the waste producers, who is the collectors, who is the recyclers, how can we, let's say, onboard the first players and add value. So this is what we're planning. Of course, the first step is to build a prototype, and this prototype we want to introduce to a lot of companies and make kind of a collect the market feedback and iterate and improve, let's say, the offer before we start the pilot. So one additional value would be kind of a EU waste regulation tracker. because I told you that the regulations are increasing, and often companies have difficulties to read these regulations. What does it mean for you concretely? And here we can also help with data handling. Let's say if you put in your data into the platform, we can match it to current regulations. So this is a add-on service that would definitely also add value. So this is it. So we are not yet really far in deep diving into the competition. So there are some companies especially focusing on the plastic recycling, because this is a big hype at the moment. So within the plastics recycling sector, there are things, but at the same time, the circular economy discussion is still a niche discussion, and the real movement starts when the companies learn to partner, because circular economy is about partnership, collaboration, relationship models. So this is also the change management part, because sustainability cannot be solved alone as an individual company. And this is probably where the companies will have the most difficulties as well.
Can you elaborate, Hanna, on these partnerships? Because you mentioned it already quite a few times from the first slides to now. Maybe an example, or why is it important, these partnerships? Why can't just a manufacturer go to sort of an eBay-like platform, put their waste up there for sale and get rid of it? Why are the partnerships critical? Or what am I missing?
Yes, because normally, if you think about circular economy, it's like from the birth of the product until the cradle, and often it's from cradle to grave, or how do you say? So often one company has bits of this value chain. So seldom one company has a complete value chain of a product life cycle in his business, and the company with their sales teams, they are skilled to sell their own brand. So they don't have expertise in the other partners or how to build partnerships. So normally companies are very good in transactional relationships. So typical, let's say, customer-supplier relationship. So normally,
No, I was just thinking, Hanna, my hypothesis would be that the partnerships are the current stage, because you need to form long-term partnerships to make this work now, because your platform doesn't exist yet. And then if you have broader supply of other partners that you can easily switch to, because currently you need partners, you can't switch easily, you need to find those partners, it's hard to form the partnerships and so on. But if you have your platform, maybe you don't need the partnerships anymore, because you can just do it on the platform, all the transactions, and you can switch easily between all those suppliers. So I'm just wondering, are those partnerships actually so necessary, or they are the current solution because your platform doesn't exist yet? You know what I'm
this is where the deep knowledge in chemical industry plays in. So generally speaking, the easily recycled products are most often already solved. So even if you have a platform, these partnerships normally is a long-term partnership, especially when it's a complex process to develop, let's say, the waste. So it's the chance is, let's say, to start thinking about partnership and circularity. So this is really a niche discussion, even in the chemical industry. So it's
And do
not
you plan?
like
Sorry.
B2C, let's say. It's quite complex to turn waste into a new resource. So this is something where also chemical innovation comes into the chain at some point.
What I was wondering when I listened to your presentation, whether you want to become basically the data and the intelligence game in this market, or do you plan to be a matchmaker and a marketplace to facilitate transactions? So this, I think, would be great to understand. And then where is the highest need for one of both solutions?
Yes. So in long term, the vision is to become, let's say, a data platform. So data as the asset, and develop some monetization models. But the first phase is definitely to be a matchmaking platform.
In order to collect the data at the end, of course.
Exactly, and also learn for whom is this really a problem. So this would be, let's say, the next phase now until the demo day, that we have this mock-up and we speak to a lot of companies and validate our hypothesis and iterate and focus on the matchmaking, but in long term definitely move towards data monetization.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think there's one role model. I think it's rather for general waste, but then for real recycling processes. But I'm sure you know Rubicon from the US, and they have a German competitor as well. I can write it in this chat here. Yeah, Clivago, I was thinking about
yes.
in Berlin, and they have this approach for general waste. I think not for the recycling process, and also just for the very first step. So really collecting the waste at the very beginning of the value chain. But I think there is enormous potential if you can catch more parts of the value chain and become really this layer connecting all those offline players out there.
Yes. So the mission is really to make waste management effortless. So I think definitely there's a big potential in this idea. And maybe I just shortly introduce you with the current team. So we are currently working in a project modus, but we have, let's say, people from the Nordic countries. We have some sustainability experts. Me and Hagen here on the left, we have deep expertise in chemical industry. So Leena, she's specialized in circular economy. And top, we have a physicist who is specialized in sustainable energy, and then we have a Max who is a techie. And fortunately, we are now in this female founders program. So hopefully we get this idea developed so well that we find a sponsor and we can really move forward and turn this into a product. So that would be really awesome. in December we have different pitches. So before the demo day, there is a incubation unit called Chemovator in my the company where I'm working. So I'm going to pitch it there and practice. And there is a platform, specialized chemical platform. I will pitch it there. And of course, I hope that I can dance after the demo day and somebody says, yes, this is worth developing further.
Hanna, Rita here. I have few questions or comments overall. Besides the competitive landscape that we just touched about, if I look at some large companies, they actually have their own industry parks where they are already, in a way, doing the waste management in their properties, like UPM would be minimizing waste going out and trying to utilize or have partners in those parks to actually take care of a certain part of a so-called waste. So I think larger companies have kind of started, at least. Maybe they don't go to any platform, but they take care of their own land areas where they produce. But if I look at, like you mentioned, the example of and I think Lahti is another example in Finland, where they minimize the waste. I wonder if it would make more sense to try to talk to the communes instead of trying to capture several companies, because each company has a maybe a slightly different angle to it, but the communes may have a real reason, given the Green Deal, actually to make something as a tool for the commune to pursue and build these networks so that you can actually make it effortless to move from waste to value. That's yes. One point.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've thought of that. Yeah. And then the second. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Then I was thinking about. I mean, the problem of waste is, of course, it's a global problem. If you look at how much waste is exported and where it lands, just thinking about Africa and some of the Asian countries. But if and you said you want to start from the Nordics, and Finland is probably pretty good one because they already separate all waste, including the small pieces of metal, and plastic is one thing. But in Germany you have a different system. You have this grüne Punkt, and it's a total different motivation for they do separate metal and plastics and what goes in there as a Verpackung, packaging material. It's a different. I think it would be difficult to overcome it just with the platform. So you would have to think through because again there is politics involved. How would you get the grüne Punkt changed? You need again political support behind somebody, because it's a whole infrastructure that has been built in there. So think about that a little bit. Not to start with, but you will have to overcome different country setups for waste collection, because there has been a lot of money put in. So there needs to be enough value to actually go the route to circulate and to create the whole waste management. And then the third one is that, the company or the foundation Sitra in Finland has been involved with circular economy for the past 10 or 15 years. They have really good contacts, and they have really good avenues about how to go about it. So they may be a good source for you to touch base, to talk about such a platform and get some feedback from them. Those were my 3 points.
Yeah, thank you. So that sounds really good. So I will do this like you advise. And maybe if you think about the problematic waste, so this is something where the chemical industry, for example, is really interested to add value with innovation. So if you imagine that in this platform you can look, okay, which waste doesn't get any match, and then you could say, okay, this is an area where we need some innovation, how to improve the process to transform the waste into a raw material again on one side, and then on the other side you can also, based on this data, check, okay, we need to change something in the product design so that this waste doesn't, let's say, become such a big problem. But this is again for phase 3. So now it's really to focus on phase 1, and I take the feedback that we will go with this city or regional scope instead of thinking about which industry. So I think this makes sense, and we will copy it.
I think it's something to think about, which one is easier. And you mentioned you are located in Ludwigshafen or close to Ludwigshafen. So do you have any access to BASF, who is of course?
Yeah, I work at BASF actually.
Okay,
since 2001.
Okay, so you have contacts there to have some dialogue about what do they do about the.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a clear advantage of this team because they all are very well connected within the chemical industry and large conglomerates.
Right.
And I.
Yeah, Miia?
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you finish, Rita?
Yeah, I finished. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to comment that I really agree with Rita that like when it comes to public affairs side of this kind of a idea, I think that it would be very valid to have some PA professional in the team, because you have a fantastic coherent team that has very strong competencies. But since this is a very complex matter and there is kind of like old structures that need to be changed, so that like maybe it would be a good advantage to have somebody who has very good connections to the decision makers. It would be very valuable, or then create a network of advocates and ambassadors.
Excellent.
Another idea or an thought that came to my mind, Hanna, when you said you need to build a prototype. So probably you're already doing that. I just want to emphasize that you miss a chance of learning if you already build a prototype before you kind of imitate the platform through manual processes. So you do the coordination. So you call a company, do you have waste? Okay, let me find a contractor or collector for you. Then you do all the calls with the collector, find a quote, communicate back, get feedback, how was the pickup, and so on. And from all of these processes, then you will learn the most for your platform, how it needs to be and where's the hiccups and so on. So before I would build something in code, always try to mimic it manually first.
That's an excellent idea. Fortunately, we are not so far with the prototype, so I can follow your advice here. I definitely think it makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. For the sake of time, we are going to have to move on a bit. But yeah, Hanna, seeing the slides first time, I'm really pleased by what you guys have done in such a short time. Hanna, I repeat it. She's been one of our corporate champions at Accelerator Frankfurt. So in Accelerator Frankfurt, we're a B2B accelerator, mostly in big data, fintech, and so forth. And we try to identify a corporate champion in a bank or in a big organization to help push the startups that we're bringing towards pilot projects. And now with this female founders, she got the opportunity to be one of the startups and see if her idea works, because we're accepting early stage companies. Normally, it would be companies that have revenue and have a team of almost 20 people and so forth. But great, we will follow up, Hanna, throughout the week and see how to move forward. Thank you for the feedback and comments from everybody else. Moving on to Miia, you're next on my screen. So it's Miia, then Karla, then Anu, basically. So we're moving now into a total different industry, sector, whatever. Maybe a bit more refreshing. Let's hear from Miia.
I think all the ideas are very refreshing, but like ours is definitely different. So to introduce myself quickly, my name is Miia Khan, and I'm located here in Helsinki. And I'm the founder and the CEO of Eventual, that has been officially running since August this year. And formerly, I was working as a partner and a director and a leading consultancy here in the Nordics called Milton. And in September, I decided that now it's time to jump into our own startup and start really like making this Action Jackson happening here, since we had been basically working on the idea back and forth since January.
The consultancy was a startup 13 years ago when you started, right? It became a big company and fully in digital marketing sector, right? I think it's important to mention these things.
Yeah, it's like we covered everything. It started with communications and PR mainly, but then nowadays Milton is not only in Finland, it's also in US, Brussels because of the public affairs. It's in Estonia, Stockholm, some activity in Denmark as well. So it's pretty big. But when I started, there was one office dog and a few people, and now there are much more office dogs and even more people. But and it was really exciting, and I loved my job. I was also working with Tikkurila, that is familiar to Rita, I noticed, and really, like I loved it. But now it was time to start something new.
And use your skills, obviously, for Eventual.
Yeah, I think that it's like our idea is also all about building a network and community. So I think that my background in marketing communications is a great advantage for our team. So I have prepared a presentation so that it's easy for you to understand what the idea is all about. And I will share my screen. Did you, Ram, give me the permission?
Yeah.
Okay.
You managing? Yeah, there it is.
I'm managing. Yeah, so this is not the logo, the actual logo. Our design team is now working on the brand. So hopefully we will see the actual logo. And yeah, so basically what we will be building is a crowdfunding platform. So it's all about influencing, power to the people, to promote, build communities, support their acts that they are interested in, and be part of the culture and event scene, basically. So at the moment, if you look at the events scene everywhere globally, there is a huge disconnect between the demand and the supply in the events domain. And so that you understand what kind of a disconnect, I will show this slide. So basically, this is a problem for consumers, acts, and venues and promoters. So at the moment, promoters and venues lack foresight into the sales of an event. So when they're booking an artist, they're taking a risk. They're putting a lot of effort into marketing and sales initially before they can actually make sure that when the event will happen, they will anyways have to pay for the act, regardless if the people will be interested or not. And on the other hand, us people, consumers, we lack influence over who performs in our town. And for us, for our team, this was a very concrete problem. We're really into gigs and music, and every time we went out, that happens rarely nowadays because of our family situations. We kind of like felt bummed that there was no diversity. We felt that there needs to be more versatile acts happening in our city. And also, since we have to be more sustainable and travel less outside our own homeland, then our cities need to have more to offer for people. And of course, the acts themselves, they deserve a fair and stable income, and they shouldn't be the ones struggling of the risk factor that the venues are struggling with. So basically, to show you in one model how the event organizing happens nowadays, is very conservative. It hasn't changed within the past years. So as you can see in the picture, there's a lot of things happening before the actual event takes place and it's offered for the public. So they have to put a lot of money into marketing and sales before the actual event takes place. So basically, if you look at this picture, we're going to turn it around completely, that the demand comes from people, they pay the tickets in advance, and then the artist will be booked and everybody's happy and venues are saving the marketing cost and sales cost. So everybody, people, venues, acts themselves, they can impact on the events scene. And we're not only talking about music, but it can be stand-up comedy, it can be social media influencers that are surprisingly big, at least here in Finland. It can be even an art performance or a celebrity or chef or sommelier, whatever. And we want to kind of like give this platform for people and let it grow organically to the direction that people actually want. And this model describes the revenue streams. So when a user creates the campaign, people will back it up. And whether the campaign succeeds or not, we have a plan how to go forward. If the campaign succeeds and the pool reaches the target, then the event will be arranged and the tickets will be issued only after a successful campaign. And then there is a resale opportunity, but this is not to go in details like how it works, but basically we have the prototype ready. So this is in a very short and clear model how it works. So our aim is that all these problems that we described earlier will be tackled, and only those campaigns that actually have demand manage, and they get all the audience that they possibly can, and people can show their power and influence, and most importantly, all the acts that are out there that have something interesting to offer, they get a fair income, because especially due to COVID, they have had a lot of challenges with the income stream. And then we have a team that is at the moment, we're of course like building a team and having discussions with different profiles at the moment, but the core team is basically here. So I'm the founder and CEO, And then my partner Uzer is the CTO of the platform. He's a background in Drupal development. So we have handmade and developed the whole product in last spring and fine-tuned it up till this day. And he has been working with the global clients such as Nokia and Konecranes, just to mention a few. And then we have anonymous profile in the team that we're not allowed to present here due to his current position. But the idea is that he will be joining us fully once we have taken a few steps forward. But now he's 20% involved in our platform. But he has a position in the world's leading promoter. So we have the understanding of the event industry in our team. And competition, there is obviously competitors, but the event scene is quite conservative still, and it functions pretty much how it has functioned for decades. But to mention few competitors, Live Nation is obviously one that can be seen as a competitor, or Eventbrite, but similar platform to ours doesn't actually exist at the moment in Europe. In Asia, there is one, but it is slightly different to ours. It's called My Music Taste, and they're mainly presenting music, and our platform is much more as well. But in Asia, you have to be quite niche, or you can be quite niche and still succeed. They have had a massive funding, and they are growing there. But we feel that there is a need for this kind of a platform in Europe as well.
You know, I have an app that I use. It just came to my mind. It's called, I think, Bands in Town, and it has an alert of I select my favorite bands, and it alerts me when they're in Frankfurt or in the area in Hessen, for example. And I can also vote a request for the band to come and perform in our city. But it stops there. It's it's just hope. Okay, let's click a request, and maybe we get enough requests, and they do. But it just came, and I see what you're trying to do is more than just a request. Is actually commit the money up front.
Yeah, and it's the whole journey from A to C. So basically, venues can have the whole service from from pooling the people to actually getting the ticket sales done. And there are plenty of these kind of platforms where you can wish for a certain artist to be there. But it's one thing to push a button on Facebook that I'm attending an event. We all know that in a certain event there can be 3,000 names and 100 people actually show up. But when you need to basically pay the ticket upfront, it's a different thing. Mm-hmm. So you need to be a true fan and actually show the commitment, and then only that way we can tackle the risk that the venues are struggling with. But mm-hmm. I think that you described is it's evidence that people need something like this.
For sure. Go ahead.
So then we're planning to launch next spring, and our go-to-market strategy is very heavily PR driven and building a network. So we're at the moment already building network of partners. We're talking here in Helsinki with the industry players, because everybody's basically now struggling at the event industry, and the feedback for our platform has been really amazing. This is exactly something that is needed at the moment, and there is a huge demand. So we believe that since everybody will win through this platform, it's quite easy to get advocates and ambassadors and collaborators with us. So right now we're working on the brand, and by February we will be able to do the soft launch, which means that we will start presenting the platform for the influencers and let them test it and give us feedback. And by the end of February, we're planning to launch the PR website, which is not the actual platform, but basically a PR site, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout February, March, we will continue talking to sponsors and advocates and ambassadors. And April is the big bang, hopefully, if everything goes as planned. And wishing to have the first users already in April, May, and basically first gigs can happen already in June.
Cool.
And the vision is here. So we have quite ambitious plan to grow rapidly, because we feel that once the platform is out there, there's a huge scalability and international growth potential. So we're hoping that quite soon we will grow into a little bit bigger player than we are today. And we actually got our second grant 2 days ago, which enabled us to take a few steps forward. So it looks like we're on the right path.
Finland is a great place for startups, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that, like, talking about unfair advantage, our location is definitely one.
And the grants, the support, the government support that you get, right?
Yes, there is Business Finland here in Helsinki that has been super supportive, and they believe in our idea. And Olli Sinerma from Business Finland, we're like really on the same page that we're building something truly great, and we're super happy that here in Helsinki, at least, there is like a great support for startups. Like somebody of you mentioned earlier, that like there is really this very tight startup community here in Helsinki that is supporting each other and really giving a valuable feedback and support. And then we have these governmental bodies that also are truly a great support. So we're happy about that. But we also believe that this is that type of an idea that once it's out there, and if people really start using it, and we're successful with our go-to-market strategy, this also has such growth potential that it kind of like also enables the fast growth. So we're not only depending on funding.
And what is the product going to look like? Is it a website at the first glance, or do you plan to also create like a mobile app around it and to add some more digital features to the event side? Because I wonder, with COVID and all those developments, how to basically decrease the risk that offline events might not happen. So maybe you have some ideas on how to add things to the digital product.
Yeah, this is a great question, and actually COVID does have an impact, and we believe that it's not actually a negative one for the event scene. First of all, to answer your first question, first it's going to be an online page, like website, and then we're already working on the app, so there will be an app.
Cool, that's good.
Yeah, so there will be all your tickets that you have purchased, all the QR codes will be there under the one app, so you don't have to have like different interfaces for different activities. And when it comes to type of an event, we also believe that there is a huge potential in the virtual events scene. And for different types of events, different type of content works, or the form of an event. I believe that, for instance, I love electronic music, and for me, the virtual format really doesn't work. but for like let's say a speaker or cooking, virtual might actually work really well. So our this platform is really not depending on what form of an event it is. The main thing is that like we're kind of like matchmaking the acts and the consumers, the people.
Super cool. And do you also plan to add like a investing product that kind that you would kind of enable users to invest like a small part of the users and then also promote in the traditional way, and once the event gets even more users than having signed up in the beginning, you could basically earn a return as early adopter or something in that direction? Or is it purely really purely pre-booked like a sneak preview in a cinema?
Did I understand your question right? That if you are the one who starts the campaign, that do you get some benefit of sponsoring an act?
Yes, if I'm like a user buying into an act that I'm not fully sure of yet, so that I can basically earn some interest once the act really agrees and we get more users interested or more people interested in the event after the actress is clear, or the singer or whoever.
Yeah, so we're working on actually like different models at the moment and testing.
Yeah.
Also with our design team, how it should practice and practically function. And I think that there will be some changes, but basically the first one who creates the campaign, we have been thinking that there should be some value added, like for instance, backstage meeting or one-on-one meeting with the act. Or something extra, but basically it is a crowdfunding platform. So once there is an act that you're really into seeing, we're asking the credit card details, and then whoever wants to back up the act then fills in the details. But no money is transferred before the act actually happens. So only if the campaign is successful, then the ticket price is charged.
Are you able only to buy the tickets on your platform, or let's say the act does happen and I see it and hey, I want to join this, can I go offline and also buy?
So basically we have the ticketing in our platform, which makes it easier for the venues. Let's say that Accelerator Frankfurt wants to host Simon Sinek at the office and they want to arrange this kind of an event. It is possible, because then you don't have to work on the ticketing platform and such. So we want to make it as simple and easy for the people and for the venues. So basically, that's how the tickets are sold. However, if there is a venue who has a contract with some other ticketing service, then like that is fine by us. Then we're just they can use the ticketing service as they want, and then we enable that. Very good.
Anything?
No, it sounds. I'm curious to learn more. I was wondering. You mentioned that there were few competitors. Whether those would be complementary to you, and do you see that in the future you might be working together with them, like this Eventbrite? They've grown in the past few years quite rapidly. So it seems like there is an open space for opportunities. But do you see any complementary? Obviously, now you are building this, and it works both for virtual and for real events. But do you see that it could also be sort of? I'm trying trying to understand where are you on the map versus your competitors, and whether longer term, let's say in 5 to 10 years, whether it would make sense to work along with any of those that you mentioned as opposed to alone.
Definitely, because we're creating something totally new, an innovation for the event field, and we believe that the future is all about collaboration, and we truly want to offer something to the event industry that is beneficial for all the players in the industry. So basically, yes, we have competitors here, but they can also be our collaborators in the future. So we believe that the whole event industry before the COVID was rapidly growing in general. So there is a huge potential there for the collaboration as well. And for instance, who knows, maybe we will able to collaborate with Live Nation, but platform that is absolutely similar to ours doesn't exist. So we feel that this can actually be something really exciting and something that helps the existing companies who operate here.
Great.
And
Nina, I really liked the idea about the investment product. Probably she needs to apply for a financing license, and but I totally get it, and I will clarify it later offline. But it's a potential second source of revenue plus motivation for the crowd, right?
Yeah, it was just an idea, but I think it has lots of potential. And I think, I mean, the general platform, and I would be also curious to use it. So that's always a good sign, I think, if you can motivate people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Tell me now, from your VC perspective, looking at the financials here, what would you want to see in a startup? How would you want to see the development of these figures?
I think if we look at those forecasts, it's very hard at such an earlier stage. So I think it's more important to really understand the business model in depth, the unit economics, and also how because it sounds a bit like a transactional business so far. So how do you create the stickiness and retention of the users so that you can basically extend the lifetime value? So this would be my key question. I think that I would focus on when creating the product and the business model, how to really lock in a customer that he or she comes back oftentimes. And when forecasting financials, it's I would then look at how many users are reasonable to get to the platform, and really bottom up calculation of how to get to those revenues, which you've done already, but which we would do into more detail basically, and to really understand how reasonable those projections are. In general, I think it's good that you plan with quite ambitious growth. So 3x every year is kind of the growth we normally, I wouldn't say expect, because it's not often the case that this really works out, but expect in terms of ambition level. So that's very good. And yeah, I would just add a bit more detail into how to get there and what's reasonable in terms of customer acquisition costs and lifetime value.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, and we have made some calculations that are in different Excel sheets.
Yes, I thought that.
Yeah, not for the live stream.
Yeah,
but this is a very rough estimate, and based on the industry experience from hours, these are very roughly estimated, basically quite negatively actually. So, only if we count the music events here in Finland or in Helsinki, I think that there are 200 music events happening every day. Naturally, the COVID situation is different, but in normal situation, those are only music. So we believe that there is
enormous. Yeah.
Demand for
Very nice. Is there any? Do you have any more slides, Miia?
Yes.
Perfect timing also to finish. But definitely a few key words I heard from Nina were the stickiness, the metrics, lifetime value, and strive for 3x yearly growth where possible. Regarding the metrics, we work mostly with B2B companies, and they are extremely, extremely important. It's the first thing we try to put for every company, because even if they don't exactly know, they will find out very quickly, wow, this is the wrong metric. And it will help them refocus their efforts. Sometimes we see them focusing on number of clients when they should be focusing on ARR, annual revenue, recurring revenue. And that changes the whole focus. Rather than getting clients, they, okay, how do we upsell? How do we make each client more valuable? So for everybody, metrics, super important.
Yeah, and it's important for us too, because we're building the team here, and the growth potential, obviously, like directs a lot what kind of a team we have to build and what kind of competencies. So if you have some more insight, we can have a session about that, or like challenge us what kind of information we need to gather. That helps. But thank you so much. Really good comments. I'm pleased.
Great work.
Thanks.
Very curious to use it one day.
Keep Nina informed.
I promise
on that. Nina, if it's all right with you, I will share your email with them. Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Good, Karla. Karla with her new big boss chair there. I'm so jealous. I want to sit on it.
It's very comfy, I can tell you.
Yeah.
All right. Before I share my screen, I'm Karla. I'm currently a senior product manager. I've been working in the Berlin startup scene for the past 10 years in different roles, focusing on product for the last 4. And now I have this idea that I'm really passionate about. And let me just present. So yeah, imagine you're applying for a visa and then you get denied the visa because like it happened in the UK, they have an AI kind of algorithm and that denied certain people the visa. And imagine you want to get a loan and then because you are a woman, you just don't get it. Or like it happened, for example, with the Apple Card, women got 20% less credit frame on their credit card just because of their gender. Or you want to apply for a job and then you don't get it because an AI screening algorithm is telling you no. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And you ask, how can this be? There should be someone who actually watches over that. It's like, no, it's the AI. We can't do anything. And the problem is that these AIs have all been trained on biased data. And if we have biased data, which is everywhere in this world right now, and it's so easy to build AI on top of that, then the AI becomes even more amplified in the bias. So here comes my idea, bias-free data. And the problem in depth is AI models don't just amplify the bias when they're trained on these biased data sets, but we also lose business opportunities. Like with the loans, for example, women, they're actually more diligent in paying them back. So banks and lenders use business opportunities. And once these things come out, usually there's a huge reputation damage and even legal fines, and there's more and more done in the direction of regulation as well. So why am I actually doing this? Because I believe that technology should benefit us and consumers and businesses alike, and it shouldn't hold us back. And actually last year in May, the OECD did an intergovernmental policy guideline that AI systems have to be robust, safe, fair, and trustworthy. And our hypothesis is that companies using bias-free data will be able to unlock hidden business opportunities through their data. And we want to help them with it. So we want to have a software as a service solution that removes the bias from your data, so your AI models become more fair and you can have those business opportunities and use them. And it will work with transaction data. It's banking, logistics, trade, education, and HR. You have all these tabular transaction data, so not on pictures, not on videos. And we have an automated analysis. So we will have several algorithms that detect that there is some data missing or some bias present. And then we will correct those and make them the data set safe for further processing. In depth, this looks like this. So we first get the data. For example, if we look into the use case of HR, we would try to take the data from an API integration, from applicant tracking systems, and then analyze it, have our algorithms go over that data, and then find out where the scores are and where they are mismatching, and then correct the data set. Sometimes you can even use synthetic data that's already been proven, and you can make it mathematically bias-free. So the business model would be bias-free data as a service, software as a service model, so usage-based pricing and a setup fee, because especially with data in the context, you need some work upfront. And there will definitely be different tiers depending on the volume of the data and the complexity of all those data sets. And of course, a lot of companies need advice in that area because it's kind of fresh. So we will offer complementary professional services. As I said, like banking and HR are currently the focus. So in fintech, there's bias-free lending, already 2 companies in the globe focusing on that. There's bias-free skill assessment by a French company, and bias-free hiring in an application or applicant tracking system. And I think Brick has just been acquired by Smart Recruiters for 1.2 million or something, if I'm not mistaken. So there's some buzz there already in the HR area. The go-to-market plan is that currently we are in the validation phase. I'm looking for 1 to 2 companies that want to run a pilot to see whether our USP actually is there and also perceived by companies, and then write a white paper about that, win the first paying client. We have an ideal customer profile that we need companies who have already some data, for example, in their ATS, and who want to use AI technology, but they lack the skills and maybe also the awareness to deal with bias. And we will then target data scientists and engineers to scale rapidly and internationally, and with partner companies. And for the team, I'm currently looking for my data scientist co-founder. I have some great support already from people from my network. And the next steps are that I want to get those pilot out. And for the past, I have been like in the accelerator, and I will participate over the weekend in the second female tech entrepreneurship hackathon. So that's my journey so far.
That's it?
Okay. Are there questions? Yeah, that's it. I'll stop sharing.
Amazing, smooth run through the slides. Leave the slides on, please.
Okay, I can do that. Sure.
Where do you see your first target customer group? What type of a customer would benefit most of this? Would it be the banks or something else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think banks are pretty hard to target as the first customer. So I wouldn't start with those, although I have talked to banks already. I know that they're looking into this, but it's too fresh. And with all the regulation and all the paperwork you need to do before you have the first foot in the door, I would like to actually go after the application or applicant tracking systems. So HR departments that basically would give me access to their greenhouse, bamboo, whatever system they have. We can pull the data from the API and then have like an algorithm run over that, and we can tell them both how has your hiring been biased in the past, and we can clean up that data that they have so they can then use it to build AI more easier screening, for example. So we could assist there. What I could also imagine doing, and I have seen some in those systems already that they're trying to build it themselves, is to give immediate feedback on the job description. So looking the job description, how it's written, how many candidates do you attract? Is that attracting a biased set of people? And how could you change that so you attract a different set of people already in the pipeline? So definitely it's going to be HR. It's also where I come from. I have been working in recruiting before. I know a lot of HR people and agencies here in the Berlin sphere. So I would talk to those people first and try to build bias-free data sets with them and see how they find the most value off of that.
You know, lots of companies are using LinkedIn for searching people, and I was wondering if this is something that could fit companies like LinkedIn and take out the bias as a service already there longer term again.
So I do know that LinkedIn has this fast apply thing, though I feel like LinkedIn is more on top of the funnel. So whenever a company does the hiring, they do have some other tool in the background. So they are sourcing on LinkedIn, but then these profiles get feed into another system. And it's for us vital to have a consistency in the data formats, to not have to train our algorithms on all the different data formats that they could be. So having a consistent format, for example, always greenhouse data or always bamboo data, would make it more easy to offer the service on a larger scale. So I do think the things come in from LinkedIn. I would have to think about how to target the sourcing already and integrating into LinkedIn, whether that actually gives some value. But yeah, I'll have to check that with the HR people, whether it fits their process.
Karla, just for my information, if you go 2 slides back, no, further back, one more back, one more, yeah, here.
This, okay.
Yes, so these are the 3 focus areas that you're doing. Explain a little bit. You ran very quickly through them. I missed it.
Yeah, of course. No, sorry. I was kind of mindful of the time. So I want to focus on transaction data because the huge amount of data that we have and also had in the past is in the form of transaction data. It's these tables that are in the databases lying around. So like the pictures and the videos, they come later. But the most data that we have, that is every day we have some kind of transaction, like we do a banking, we book something, we enter our data somewhere, all this is transaction data. And to leverage this huge data set, to me is much more promising than going down the path of computer vision with all the images and so on. So I want to focus on that area. That's why I chose that. And then is that already the question, or you want me to go through the other 2 as well?
Are they different, or it's what are you, or it explains what you will do with the transaction data?
So I mean, in general, you take the transaction data and then you want to analyze in that data, can I just use that to train my AI models, or will I then unleash biased software into the world and miss all the business opportunities?
Okay,
so
I get
that's
it.
the
Yeah.
second pillar. I want to have an analysis of the data set. So my company can basically give you like a Michelin star rating on data sets and tell you, this is a 3-star data set. You can go and train that, but be a little bit careful. Or this is like a 0-star data set. You should never train AI on that one. And I give them kind of a rating of what what treasure they have, or whether we need to clean it up so it becomes a treasure for that company. And the
And
safe
the
selection is
super,
what makes it a treasure. Yeah, sorry.
I find this super interesting. We have a portfolio company called Mostly AI,
Oh
who
yeah.
basically enables, yeah, they focus on synthesized data sets and enable businesses to analyze data in a more privacy aware setup. And I think that I can definitely do an introduction so that you can also, or you might use them as partners. And what I think my question is similar to Ram. So you basically enter the process before the data are analyzed or synthesized, right? So it's basically before anyone touches the data, you tell the user whether the data are biased or create biased outcomes, or is it after the analysis has taken place that you also red flag biases? This would be my first question. So where in the process chain do you basically jump in? And then the second question, isn't it also who defines what a bias is? So yeah.
Yeah. So to your first question, where do I jump in? I would jump in the earliest possible. I understand that data first needs to be kind of cleaned for analysis by algorithms, so that has to happen first. But if you then synthesize data and train AI models on it, then you've kind of already invested time in maybe a biased set. So there's a sweet spot when you're like, let's first remove the bias, and then you can do whatever you want later with it because it's actually safe. So that's the sweet spot when I come in. Who actually defines that? Very tough question, because bias can be introduced already in the data collection. You can then teaching a soft thing like bias to an algorithm is a very hard thing to do. So that's kind of the problem we're trying to solve with having different algorithms who look at things differently. We will also at the same time need a team that is very, very diverse. So we have all the different perspectives. So both the combination, like for example, I've been not researching, but being in the field of bias for the last 3 years, and unconscious bias, diversity, inclusion, that's kind of my topic. So I've read tons of papers. What is actually bias? How can you see it? What about proxies? So you remove the age, but you can still see it's an old person from the other data stuff. Or you remove the race and you still see by the zip code, this must be a poor person, and poor in America and the US is often a Black person, these kind of things. So there is pointers and research being done. Now the lifting would be to translate that into algorithms that give pointers on any kind of data set. So yeah, that's what we want to do.
Super interesting. I would love to follow you. So
very nice. And you're in the same city, so once things ease up a bit. We're really just in time. We're doing very, very good with time. So I would have to move on to Anu now. Actually, just one quick thing. I don't know if I don't remember the other slides, but I'm a bit picky with this. But really try to keep at least your logos on each slide. So when you're presenting in a pitch or whatever, or if someone taking a picture, they know who are you talking about. So put your logos on each slide, and when you're in the demo day, when we will finish, there'll be a Q&A. So make sure you have your contact details at the end of the slide showing behind you. That would be very relevant. Sometimes I also like slide numbers because, especially when I'm in board meetings, I like to refer, hey, on slide 4, you said, instead of go back. So, so these are small things, but wow, amazing stuff. Anu, I hope we didn't keep you waiting too long. You have now just over 20 minutes. So go ahead.
Sure, no problem. It's always super interesting to see what the others have been doing, and they have been doing great, I have to say.
I'm totally surprised. So I'm mind blown, to be honest.
Yeah, and the interesting part comes here. My background is a bit similar to Nina's, I would say. So 20 years in legal. I've been driving big global insurance giants like AXA, Genworth Financial, their legal departments, compliance departments in the Northern Europe area. Partially covered also the German-speaking area because I lived there a few years, so I'm kind of fluent there. A couple of years back, I got a bit bored, as you were saying earlier in your introduction, and I wanted to see a bit outside the corporate life. I've been involved in, I started with startups, mentoring them 7 years ago in different scales, formats, whatever. And then I thought it looks like fun, tough, but fun. So let's try if I can do something. I've been now involved in a couple of startups that weren't my startups. I found another one of my own, and this is now kind of a second effort and going back to my home, so to say, back to insurances. I thought that this is the space which I know the best. So why not use the kind of expertise that I have and look into what we can do there. So that's kind of the background for my startup, Digital Lifestyle Protection Insurance, and our company name is Nurance, coming from Your New Digital Insurance. Mm-hmm. What's the kind of current situation in lifestyle or payment protection insurances? Depends a bit how they are named in the market. These products are really outdated. They date back to 90s. They were insurance products that were linked to a loan with kind of, if you look at the, for instance, job market, which is a part of the insurance product, today's job market is completely different to what it was back in the 90s. But nothing has really happened to the terms and conditions, the cover features, which are covering the unemployment situation today. The whole distribution strategy has been built on face-to-face sales with lenders. So just think about it. You've spent days in negotiating a mortgage for yourself. You're already decorating your dream house. And then comes someone and says, oh, would you like to insure yourself against unemployment or death or something very fun in a situation when you're already really in a positive mood about your new house and so on. And basically, this is how this product is being sold still today. There are a couple of new kind of introductions there, which are due to loan aggregators who are kind of one step before the actual lender comes in. So they are aggregating the loans and they are offering this product already. However, this means that the product is never their kind of primary product. It's never a product that the consumer kind of, they don't have the time. They don't have the kind of willingness to look at that stage. And when these are the distributors that are distributing the product today, they are there to increase their income. They are not, quite often, they are not there to protect the end consumer. They are not looking for best products for the end consumers. The sales quality is not the best. And because most often it's face-to-face, it's very dependent on the person, how they understand the insurance cover, how they understand their requirements on compliance, how do they need to sell the product for the end consumer to understand what they're buying. The product design, as I mentioned, it's very often stiff. It's very, you either have the kind of smaller product or then you have the wider product. And the separation there is quite often, either it's with life and permanent total disability covers or not. And that is very inflexible for the end consumers. Their life situation may be quite different to the next who comes in the door for the mortgage, car loan, whatever loan. The terms and conditions are quite confusing. They are long-winded. They are not very clear. And people quite often, they think they bought something, and they stick to their kind of memory on the sales pitch, which might or might not have been completely accurate, which means that there are quite often dissatisfied consumers. And this whole kind of ended up in like 7 years ago, if I'm correct, especially in UK, Ireland area, to kind of the situation where this whole insurance product was so uncompliantly sold and invoiced that the whole word payment protection insurance is basically a swear word today in those islands. The similar kind of feature came through some parts of Europe, not so much in Nordics, because we have much stronger tradition to, how should I put it, to kind of protect consumers and to give information. So this is how it is today. What we're trying to do here is a digital lifestyle protection insurance that is offering a fully personalized product for individual needs with a better price. We're going to provide the consumers with a flexible and easily understood product that we're going to do a full scale legal design, from wording to visuals to kind of guided sales process, where everybody understands they are getting a guided kind of or recommended product based on their answers to their background questions. We're going to use kind of all the spices that there are today available, from UX design to gamification to everything that helps the customer to understand the process of buying an insurance. Why do they need it? What are they buying? How are they choosing the product features? And basically, because today the market is such that you cannot get a payment protection insurance anywhere else than from your bank or a lender, 99% something, we are going to offer them a alternative product that they can compare the price with, they can compare the features with, and basically the goal is to get a significant lower price, especially in Germany, by the way, where the commissions are sky high for this product. So this is what we're aiming for. At the same time, insurance business is really, really keen on looking at the risk responsibly that is being underwritten. Our company is currently scaled kind of down a bit from our original idea, where we wanted to do full-scale admin, claims handling, everything. But now we're looking at first going live with just sales and tuning the kind of first stage so that the customer really gets a good opportunity to impact the product that they are buying, understanding it, choosing what fits their situation, and basically offering a modernization of the product details. The whole stream, the customer journey from the sales to the admin and claims, that will come a bit later after we've been able to start the sales and kind of get this thing rolling. I think AI, I think I need to probably talk to Karla a bit how to make this bias-free. But so we're going to use AI helped decision making once we get to the claims phase. In the underwriting tools, we're going to use AI assisted technology, machine reading to ensure that the end consumers don't have to type in pages and pages of their background information, of their loan information, and chatbots obviously to assist with smaller queries, and gamification to ensure that the people understand and kind of keep to the customer journey so they don't fall out. So we're using the learnings from games to kind of keep them interested and keep them buying the kind of digital journey. Today, basically, as I mentioned, there is no access to a comparative or competitive product. And this is the whole idea what we want to do. We want to go direct to consumer. Today, every single payment protection insurance provider, they are always linked to the loan offering. We want to cut that. We want to go directly and offer to the consumer. That ensures that the product is no longer linked to the lender's wishes or their ideas about the product. How does it look? How the lender wants to differentiate themselves from the lender next door, rather than it's taking the full effect of the client's own situation, their own wishes. What we want to offer there is a very flexible underwriter tool that we can pick up different insurance companies and to collaborate with them who are underwriting the risk for this product. And we want to find out the customers in the various process phases when they're first starting to look at the they want to first look at the car, they want to look at the apartment, they want to look at something that they want to buy. They don't start looking at loan providers. So we want to already find the customers in an earlier stage, because that is basically, well, it's possible today. It wasn't 30 years ago. So we want to make use of that opportunity. I think I've gone through more or less these. The go-to-market plan is, as I said, direct to consumer, under a general agent, our own brand. We want to offer a new insurtech kind of idea where the insurance company's brand is not used. The buyers will be identified using search engine optimization, and the products will be sold mainly using growth hacking. We have been thinking of few optimally chosen distribution partners to kind of support the direct-to-consumer sales. However, the commission percentages will not be in the levels as they are today. The distribution partners are not going to have a saying into the kind of content of the insurance. So we want to fully support the individual's situation and not the lenders or distributors model. And therefore, these need to be very carefully chosen to support the go-to-market and not to kind of ruin the disruption of the payments protection market as it is today. Competitors, especially the Nordic market, has been dominated by AXA, previously Genworth Financial's business. Now several banks in the Nordics, they actually have realized that why would they share this with a kind of global giant? They want to take the products in-house. So a number of the banks have in-house captives who have taken these products in-house, which has changed the market quite a bit during the last couple of years. All the Nordic countries where we want to start, they have their distinct payment protection or lifestyle protection insurance market, where there are a number of pockets for growth. In Finland, for instance, mortgage PPIs are the biggest market share. For instance, in Norway, credit cards, car loans are the biggest share. And in Denmark, for some reason, there is the unions are the biggest distributors of these products for unemployment products. But there is because we have such a long history in doing these products, we know which markets particularly have which parts that we can kind of introduce these to. Our team, I have about 20 years experience in different kinds of legal sales, development, product development. Kai, my colleague, he has got a background from 2 different continents. 30 years in insurance, has been an underwriter, director in Northern Europe, in different companies, has been doing different things. So we can actually, just the 2 of us, manage quite a few roles within the startup. We have a couple of others who are already lined up once we're live, so we can attract quite easily skilled and great people to the team, which is a big asset. Quite quickly on the policies sold, we are looking about the 3x that you mentioned earlier. The good part here is that the policy is sold. That's nearly 3x. But the good part here is also that the in-force policies, these type of insurances, they usually stay in force about 3 to 6 years. So depending on the policy style, there is a back book that grows with the new policies sold. So we don't have to sell all of these every year again. There is quite a handsome opportunity here to scale, and these metrics are only from the Nordics. So the opportunity to grow within the German-speaking area, within Netherlands, and so on. There will be more, but this is basically just featuring the Nordic markets. Current status: we have initial agreements with life and non-life insurers to underwrite this business in Finland. Product is already initially designed. We're planning to do the license application and company registrations to be filed before year-end. We have the SaaS platforms ready and identified, and the key financial terms already negotiated, and team is ready to start kicking quite soon. I guess that's it. And I have to mention that the 4 ladies that we have in this group, it also reflects the presentation style. I'm a lawyer by background, so I use words. Then we have someone else who uses, like Miia has a background in marketing, so that's much more kind of funky looking presentation than this one, but and so on. But I think it's great to see how we operate in different ways also through the presentations.
And you had nothing last week, so in 1 week I think quite a lot has been achieved. Don't worry, the aesthetics and stuff we'll perfect. We still have 4 weeks to go.
And it also suits the topic, you know, in my view. I think it's really perfectly suited to the different kinds of products you all are building, which are very different from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Good questions.
Anu, how easy, I understand what you are trying to do, I think, and the opportunity is there. But how easy do you foresee to actually change the way of getting these insurances? Because it's so established in a way. Any thoughts on that?
It's a really good question. You went down right to our pain point. So very, very good question. We have been thinking about that a lot. The good part is that if you look at the kind of market today, especially in the Nordics, it's digitalizing all the time further. So the model has to be changed. I just took a mortgage. I changed all my loans to one bank to another a couple of weeks back. I never saw anybody face to face. So this product is going to be obsolete in a couple of years' time unless this product is being sold completely differently. So I think we're stepping into the space in an optimal time and space due to COVID, reducing even further the face-to-face meetings and everything going more and more online. So I think this is one feature that is on our side. The other part is that I think that the Nordics are a great area to kind of experiment because we're quite digitally native already here. All the banking business is done really already today through mobile, through your browser. So I think the key here is to be very agile in testing. We have agreed with a couple of people who are really skilled, one of the top people in Finland in growth hacking, that she's going to give all her experience in kind of trying to scale us up. And it's about testing. So we want to be very agile in trying, okay, if we do this way, how does it impact the sales numbers? Where do people stop in the customer journey? So identifying the stoppers in the kind of chain, and then testing that week and week again to see where this kind of optimal composition is. And that flies also to our platform provider, which we're not going to do ourselves. No need for that. So we need a very agile partner here who is able to kind of change the UX design, everything that we have, the processes, to ensure that there are no showstoppers in kind of customer journey. But definitely needs a lot of learning, needs a lot of kind of mindfulness on how to make this a perfect one.
Yeah, agreed. Go ahead.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Nina?
Not really from my side. I think the MGA model is very clever. We have also GetSafe in the portfolio, who follows, I think, a very related model. And I think the great potential that really can set you apart from incumbents is the data you collect and the intelligence of underwriting and all those analytics you can add, which incumbents can't because they are so far away from their users. But I mean, you're a lot more into the industry, and I'm very curious to follow you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. Anu, there's perhaps the pain point when we talk offline through the week and through the past weeks. I've been hearing you for I think a couple of months already. I understood that the pain points are more that this PPI type of insurance is not accessible to the consumers unless they really talk to the lender or the bank or the financial institution. I think try to highlight that quite more, because you're bringing a totally new channel directly to the consumer and putting the consumer in the decision-making seat rather than being pushing it to the consumer as the lender. So that's the only thing that I would like to see. And of course, hopefully for next week, you can show perhaps more graphics in terms of the share, the market share, or the different segments. You mentioned in the competition slides, there's a few different segments there. That would be good to see. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I'm fully taking kind of also the advice that you gave to earlier presenters about the deck. I will take them into account as well.
Yeah, that's the minor, no problem. But just wrapping up, basically, this was the first time the ladies have spoken to anybody outside, really. Both Nina and Rita, I'm super thankful for your time. It was amazing, and you gave a lot back to the ladies with your comments. Do you have any last remarks to them?
Well, I'm surprised how different everybody is. So that's actually also for Accelerator Frankfurt new ground, because one thing is to focus on similar, like the blockchain ones have been, but this one is really an opportunity of very, very various opportunities, and they all seem to have potential. So that's great, and looking forward to see how you develop over the coming 4 weeks. But all of them I see. In all of them, I see potential. So that's a great thing.
Nina?
Yes. Thank you so much for presenting, and I'm also very, very excited. I think that all of you have a very interesting background and edge to what you add to the respective industries. So really exciting to follow you, and I also agree with Rita that it's an incredibly broad and colorful group and with great potential. So I'm very curious and looking forward to be in touch.
Excellent. And they are broad in their different industries, but we made sure that there is some sort of complement. If you think about, Hanna works in a very big organization with big data. which is great for Karla, and obviously
Yeah, you're right.
you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the communication
Network
lady
effect.
here. So
Cool. Mhm.
it works, and they push each other. From my perspective on that, I don't know if it has to do with because it's female founders. You know, we've had 40 startups or 43 startups to the accelerator with one female founder in one of them. This is the reason we wanted to push more female founders. But I don't know what it is, but it is quite of an easy program for us because normally we have to be on top of you and make push you to make progress and so forth. But now I'm laid back and I'm just surprised of the progress that is being done. So well done on that. Thank you so much for everyone. So next week, Wednesday, same time, 1 p.m. Frankfurt time. It'll be a similar session. We have Jaakko Salminen. He was chairman of the Finnish Business Angels. Tatiana Wild, she's running a fintech VC from Munich. And Michael Mizrahi, who's running a micro VC in Israel. So a little bit stepping it up as well. 3 people you'll have. But to Rita and Nina, this has been great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tim, take
Thank
us
you
to
all.